On this episode, I'm going to tell you exactly what you as a real estate agent should be posting online right now. This is a great follow-up to the episode we did 3 weeks ago, about exactly like the message that you should be pivoting to. Well, I'm going to tell you an exact post that is working really, really well for me right now and how you can do it yourself. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 304 of the Massive Agent Podcast. I am your host, Dustin Brohm, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today, I'm going to share with you a post that I made on Instagram that is... So I posted a photo on Instagram, not a video, not a reel, just one static image, and it's crushing it. And I'm going to explain why in a second, because what it's about tells you everything you need to know. This type of post is needed by consumers. They need to see more of it. They need to hear this from you, but it has to be done in a certain way, because if you do it the wrong way, you come across as tone deaf, as an asshole, as someone who's just insensitive, because this post that I'm going to explain to you requires context. It requires some nuance to it, but it certainly grabs attention, and that's why it's performing so well right now on Instagram. So before we jump into that, welcome to the show. If you are in the Columbus, Ohio area, I will be in town on November 8th doing an event for World Class Title where they're actually bringing in a videographer, a photographer. You're going to get videos and photos done for you, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to use those on your profiles on Instagram and on Facebook and everywhere else to really boost the hell out of your profile visibility, how to look better so that when people look up your profile, because guess what? When you get referred to somebody, what do? They're going to Google you, but they're also going to go look you up on social media. They want to know who the hell you are. More people are actually searching your name on Instagram and Facebook and social media. They're doing that more often than, I'm not going to say more than Google, but more people are searching social than they used to versus Google. That's for sure. Because they want to see who you are. And the quickest way to get to know who you are is to watch some of your stuff, to see what you post. So if you don't come across very well, if you don't have a very well done or a very concise or a very compelling is the word I'm looking for, a very compelling profile, you lose credibility right away. So I'm going to teach you exactly what to do to build credibility from the very first look. So this is in Columbus, Ohio, November 8th. Get all the information, and I believe there's only a dozen or two more seats. There's 150 spots available, and we're down to a couple dozen or less. MassiveAgentPodcast.com/Columbus. It's going to be, I'm so looking forward to this, because the talk that I'm giving, I'm just breaking down everything you need to crush it on social media. You're going to have the blueprint. So get there, MassiveAgentPodcast.com/Columbus. Hope to see you there. And I'm going to spill the beans on something. This is something that I've been working on behind the scenes. I've been planning. I've been crunching numbers. I've been, putting pieces in play. I've been trying to figure out how this will work. And I'm ready to finally at least tease what I'm working on. I'm not ready to let you guys have it. I'm not ready to release all the details just yet, but it's coming together. What I'm working on and what we're going to be doing very soon, I believe within the next month, I'm going to be releasing the Massive Agent Mastermind. Now, what this is going to be is a combination of daily training and support, daily, weekly training calls, and an event. A live in-person event here in Salt Lake City that we're going to pull out all the stops. It's going to be incredible. It's really going to be like a premium experience, and we're going to bring in experts. We're going to bring in influencers. We're going to bring in people that are really excellent on the certain topics that we're going to be discussing, and it's going to be a very well-rounded curriculum. We're not just going to teach you how to do great video. We're not just going to show you how to get leads. We're going to teach you how to have more energy in your life, how to have better relationships, how to be a better parent, how to get your ass in shape and to have better fitness. We're going to show you how to grow your business and what systems you need to put into place. It's going to be so well-rounded. So I'm really excited about this. The Massive Agent Mastermind is coming soon. We're just figuring out the exact dates and venues and all of that stuff, because I don't want to put it out there without having everything dialed in and ready to go. So If you are interested, if you want to be one of the first people to hear about it, you can go to massiveagentpodcast.com/mastermind and get on the waiting list. You don't have to pay for anything. There's nothing to pay for. There's no tickets or anything available just yet. But that's just to say, hey, I'm interested. Once it's ready to go, once we're ready to offer spots for that, I believe we're only going to have 50 available spots for the mastermind. And so they're going to go pretty quick. So just get on the waiting list, massiveagentpodcast.com/mastermind. And I am very excited to bring more details to you soon, but that's something I've been working on. I've been going to a lot of masterminds. I've invested well over 6 figures into masterminds over the last 2 to 3 years. And I've learned what makes great masterminds and what sucks about them and what could be done better and the pros and the cons. And I'm using all of that experience to make this one excellent, but also not crazy expensive, because I mean, I've invested $30K a year for just one mastermind, which was worth it, but that limits most people. So it's not going to be anything even close to that. So get on the waiting list ASAP and stay tuned for more about the Massive Agent Mastermind coming soon, definitely before the end of the year. And my goal is to bring you all the details by Thanksgiving at the very, very latest. So stay tuned for that. If you are not yet a member of the BAMX community, I highly recommend it. BAMX is a community of like-minded, entrepreneurial, forward-thinking, modern real estate agents that are all collaborative. Nobody's holding shit back from each other. It's incredible. And there's also a ton of great online courses and resources right there for you that you can just right at your fingertips. To get more information about BAMX, go to massiveagentpodcast.com/BAMX and make sure at checkout you use code MASSIVE to get 10% off for the year. So as little as $10 a month, you could be a part of the BAMX community. Every single agent that I've spoken to who is a member of the community says they would pay more for it. It's invaluable to them. They love it. They're big fans, and they wish more agents would join. But also, at the same time, not, because they're like, we don't want too many people because then it just gets watered down. Because right now it's not. It's a great way to be seen and to get exposure and to get referrals. It's incredible. So check out BAMX. And lastly, shout out to KCM, Keeping Current Matters. I got an email from Keeping Current Matters this morning about what home prices are expected to do, nationwide, of course, what they're expecting home prices to do between now and the end of the year. And the way that Keeping Current Matters breaks this down is so easy to understand. Like, I'm not an economist. Like, I need stuff, I need Cliff's Notes. I need stuff dumbed down. Like, I think I'm pretty freaking intelligent, but when it comes to like the nitty gritty details and like all the minutia of shit, like my eyes just glaze over and I'm like, okay, just like give me the summary here. I can understand concepts, but I need the summary. And that's what KCM gives you as a real estate agent, is what you need to know and nothing else. And more importantly, what you need to know in a way that you can communicate it to buyers and sellers and consumers so you can attract business. Keeping Current Matters is a tool that you absolutely need in your tool belt to help you attract clients, because it makes you an advisor and not just a salesperson. And I think you know which one of those is going to get more business. Try kcm.com/BAM is where you try out Keeping Current Matters at a discount. Make sure you do that immediately. All right, let's talk about what you should be posting right now. So just 3 weeks ago, episode 301, the podcast is called Agents, Make This Pivot Right Now, episode 301 from the end of September. Make sure you go listen to that after this one. But we as real estate agents must shift the way we speak to consumers, because we are not in a 3% interest rate environment. We are in a 7.5% interest rate environment, which if you're not being honest with yourself, is completely fucked. Like, it's very difficult. Now, it's not impossible, because yes, I know interest rates have been dramatically higher before, but that was when you could get a house for $40,000 or less, right? So 18% of $40,000 is very different than 8% of $700,000. But I digress. What consumers need to hear from you is they need to understand that if they wait for home prices to come down, they could be shooting themselves in the foot, and they could be making a catastrophic mistake that could price them out forever. Now, will home prices crash? I don't believe so. None of the experts I follow believe so, because every time you see rates creep down a little bit, every time rates tick down, you see a spike in loan applications and a spike in buyer activity. I mean, you can see this. Showing Time puts out this data that all of a sudden showings go through the roof when rates drop by 0.5%, because there's so much pent up demand. So because of that, and there's so little inventory available. There's so few homes even being sold right now that I don't see any scenario that home prices can drop dramatically. However, let me read you this post that I made the other day. So what I did, and by the way, I broke all the rules of Instagram. I mean, I was testing things. This is what you should be doing. You should be listening to all the Instagram gurus and everything. You should be listening to what's working for other people. However, I wanted to test how just a static image would perform, not a carousel post. It was just one image, not multiple. It was not a reel, just an image of a tweet. And the tweet says this, and I posted this on for you guys that want to see it. So 2 days ago, that was what? It won't even tell me the date. 2 days ago. I don't know. I posted it a few days ago. Just go to Massive Agent on Instagram, and it's the big black post with a tweet. It says, interest rates jumped from 8% to over 16% in just a 3-year period from 1979 to 1981. Care to guess how much home values crashed during that time? Wait for it. Home values actually went up 7%. The lesson: don't plan on home prices crashing. You'll likely totally screw yourself. My point being, my whole message there was, if you're one of these people who's waiting for prices to crash, it could be one of the biggest mistakes you've ever made, because prices most likely won't crash. Even when, back between 1979 and 1981, when rates spiked from 8% to over 16%, and I know they even went higher than that, prices went up 7%. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing this message very much. I'm just seeing agents say, even though rates are high, don't worry about it. It's still a great time to buy. What you're missing, look, I agree with you. However, what you're missing is why it's still a good time to buy, because most people don't believe that. When you just say, I know, rates have been higher before, so you should still buy a house right now anyways, and you can always refinance later. Technically, you're right. But consumers, buyers and sellers, non-real estate people, they don't believe you. They think you're full of shit because they're inundated all day long by headlines. They're inundated by chatter on social media. They're inundated by what their friends are talking about. And they just think it's wildly unaffordable. And they think, well, this isn't sustainable. So prices are home prices are going to go down. So I'll just wait till they go down and I can get a better deal. Well, that's not what history shows. In only 2 of the last 5 recessions, home prices went down. And the only one of the 5, so of the 5 previous recessions, the most recent recessions that we've had, only one had a significant drop in home values, and that was the Great Recession of 08 and 09. The other recession, I don't have it right in front of me, but home prices went down, but they went down by like 0.4%. Like it was barely down. It was basically flat. And in all the other modern recessions, home prices still went up. So if that's true, if history's saying, hey, even in a recession, home prices will probably not drop, they'll probably still go up, don't you think that's something you need to teach consumers? Yes. So how do you get them to hear it and not get pissed and not think you're full of shit and not think you're just some smooth talking agent who's just trying to get a sale? Because that's what they think. I mean, look at the comments, even some of the comments on this post I made from people that don't follow me, because it shows how well the post did, because it's reaching trolls. When you get trolls on your social media posts, that means it's reached a new level of people, non-followers. And I love that. The more troll comments I get, the more it shows me this post crushed it. For example, this post, As of the time of recording, it has 758 likes. It has over 10,000 impressions. This one post has brought me 78 followers, 78 new follows just from this one post. Over 600 shares, or sorry, just under 600 shares. Crazy. So this message resonates. And I think the reason why is because it's not heard very much. You just have to take the concept, put it out there, and then in the caption, explain, right? Let them know that, look, I understand interest rates are so high. However, the prices are probably not going to go down. Rates probably will, but prices won't. See, here's the thing. Teach people that. If you're going to wait for something, there's a way to still buy the house at today's prices, which are probably going to be less than the price a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now, most likely. And make sure you say that. If you're speaking in I guarantee or this in certainty, people smell bullshit because nobody knows for sure. I don't know. I'm just looking at history. So if you don't know for sure, don't act like you do. Just teach them. If history is a guide, and if home prices keep going up the way they have in previous recessions, then it's going to be better to buy a house now versus later. So how do you do that and still take advantage of interest rates when they drop? And teach them how they can potentially, okay, the emphasis on potentially, they can potentially buy now and refinance into a lower rate later. This goes back to the whole marry the house, date the rate thing, which I love that, but it's just an incomplete topic, or it's an incomplete description, because not everyone's going to be able to refinance later. Maybe they won't qualify to if they lose their job, right? So you just don't want to get into a situation where you are misleading people to buy a place they can't afford now, and then they end up being stuck in that interest rate. They can't, because these interest rates are going to be with us for about a year, maybe more. Like the Fed has straight up said, like these high rates are going to be here for a while. And a lot of the experts I look up to have said probably a year of these high 7 to 8% rates. And if that's the case, people need to be prepared to afford the house at today's rates. And if interest rates go down eventually, then they can refinance if they're able to. That context is everything, because it's factually accurate and it's not misleading people. You're letting them know, hey, there's a chance that the rates may not drop in a year. Maybe it takes 2 years. So are you going to be able to afford the higher payment over that time? If not, you probably shouldn't buy. But if you can weather that high interest rate, then whenever rates finally go down, you can take advantage. The problem I see with so many of your posts is that they lack context. And you don't need a ton more than just a little bit of honesty and a little bit of context saying, hey, here's where it could go wrong, or here's why this could not be the right option for you. And if you do that, guess what? You're going to help people because you're giving them information. They're going to be able to wrap their head around whether or not they should pursue certain things, or at a minimum, start a conversation with you about it, right? That's how you become trusted as an advisor. Have you ever gone into a store and they tell you, hey, you shouldn't actually, you shouldn't buy this here. You should actually go online and buy it over there. Has that ever happened to you? That's happened to me at a few different places, a few different times. Very few, but I remember it because it's like, wait a minute. You're telling me not to buy your product. I should go buy it from somewhere else. That's interesting. What that shows is that they had my interest at heart and not theirs. So what did that do in my eyes? I trusted them more. I wanted to buy from them that much more. And so maybe I didn't buy that exact thing. Like I remember supplements. What was it? There was a supplement store I went to, and he's like, hey, you should get this here. You should get this here. But these other two supplements, like some fish oil and what was it? Some kind of protein, whatever. They're like, you should actually go order it over at this other place. And I'm like, okay, you've got a customer for life now because I trust you. Well, wouldn't it be nice if everyone that watched your content trusted you the same way? Do you think that you'd get more business if you were a trusted advisor and not just an entertainer, or not just someone that was always telling people to buy? If the quickest way to gain trust on social media is to tell people not to do something that most every other agent is telling them to do. Hey, rates are pretty high. You might want to consider other options. Maybe you should consider buying this, but then put an ADU on the property, right? We talked about this in the previous episode. But here's some other ways that you could reduce your mortgage payment, right? Put an ADU on the property, rent out a portion of it. House hack, buy a multi-unit and rent out one portion. Seller financing, assume a lower rate mortgage. I'm seeing this more often, a lot more often, is homes being advertised. Hey, this home has a 3.7% FHA mortgage. Well, that's an asset, right? That's awesome. I mean, the buyer most likely is going to be getting a mortgage from somewhere. Why not just assume the one that's in place? It doesn't always work out. And see, this is what the reason why I'm telling you it doesn't always work. It's not just cut and dry 100% of the time. It's exactly what you need to be telling consumers. And when you do, you build trust. So teach them what happens if they wait for prices to go down. They probably won't. So what if they do? Teach them that. And if they don't, what can they do about it? What should they do instead? If home prices aren't going to go down, most likely, what would you recommend? And then would you recommend that for everybody in all situations, or would you only recommend it for certain people? So when you say buy now and refinance later, you can't give that advice to everybody. You have to give it to people that can only afford the higher payments indefinitely. Like if you're stuck with 7.5 forever, can you live with that? Can you afford that? If so, then this is a good strategy. But if not, if a year and a half from now, that 7.5% rate will crush you, don't do it. Don't do it. Look for another option. Look for a 2-1 buy down, or seller rate buy downs, or creative financing, or some other thing to get the payment down to make it affordable. It's so important to be an advisor and not a salesperson. When you teach and you give context and you explain pros and cons, and here's here's how this concept will work, here's how it won't, here's who it's for, here's who it's not for, you build trust and credibility and likability, which leads to business. And there's such an opportunity for you to gain market share just by doing those simple things. By becoming the advisor that people trust and like, they're going to share your stuff. They're going to tag their friends and their family in your stuff. And when the time comes, they're going to use you, which is why you have to do it more than once. You can't just do this one post and expect a ton of business to come from it. You have to keep teaching people in different ways, word it differently, and then a subtopic and another topic and another way to look at it, and this and that. The advisor is going to win every time, because the vast majority of your competitors, unfortunately, are salespeople. You see it with realtors, content all the time. Buy this house, buy this, buy that. There's never been a better time to buy. The time to buy is now. Well, yes, it might be, but it also might not. And if you say there's never been a better time to buy, you are so full of shit. You are so full of shit. There's never been a better time to buy. There's been a shitload of times better to buy property than right now. Are you fucking kidding me? But is it better to buy now or in 10 years? Yes. Yes, it's better to buy now. So say that instead of there's never been a better time to buy. Of course, every time has been better than now, right? Almost every time before. 5 years ago, better. 10 years ago, better. 90 days ago, probably better, right? So stop it. Stop it with being the salesperson and start advising, for God's sakes. And you might just find your business grows. I hope that this reached the people it was supposed to reach today. Hopefully you can change your behavior, make some better, more targeted, more helpful posts, and really help some buyers and sellers and consumers in the process. Because what I'm seeing right now from people in my life who are not in real estate is this general consensus that it's a horrible market. It's wildly expensive. You should just wait. So if you disagree with that, then your job is to teach people how that's wrong. Not just to say, you know what, don't worry about the high rates. Don't worry about it. It was much more unaffordable in the 80s, so you should just buy now. Because that's what a lot of you do. And that's killing credibility. It's killing credibility. You're losing trust. People are emotional. When people cannot do what they want to do, they get emotional, right? Anger is an emotion. Frustration is an emotion. And when people are not able to do what they want to do, make the moves they want to do, they're frustrated. So you have to fight through that. It's an uphill battle. And the only way to fight through it is to agree with it, empathize with it. I know it's unaffordable, but here are some options to make it more affordable. I know you feel like it'd be better to just wait for prices to come down, but let me show you why that may not happen, why that may actually have the opposite effect. Why, if you wait for prices to come down, they may actually just keep getting more expensive. So advise, stop selling. Nobody wants to be sold to, but people want help to accomplish the thing they want, and they hire advisors to do that. And guess what? Advisors are very well paid. So are salespeople, but they're also not liked. And in environments like this, nobody wants a salesperson. They want an advisor to guide them through and help them navigate through this craziness. This craziness will not last forever. And those of you who are able to adapt and adjust your language and your message and really become helpful are going to build such a great foundation of trust and credibility and people that follow you and look up to you that when things start to improve, your business will take off like a fucking rocket ship. But unfortunately, those that just keep doing the same old shit that you've always been doing, and you're too stubborn to pivot, you're too stubborn to change the messaging, no wonder you're struggling. No wonder it's getting harder, and it will probably continue to get harder. You have to adjust. The times have, the market has, consumer sentiment has. Maybe it's time that you follow suit and get ahead of the puck and teach and advise. Thanks for listening. Make sure you go to massiveagentpodcast.com/mastermind. Get on the wait list for when we drop the details for the Massive Agent Mastermind. I am so excited. This is going to be over the top, and I believe one of the better this is going to be the best fucking mastermind in the real estate industry. That's it. And full story. That's it. See you guys later. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.